This is Rahul. I welcome you to the training program on fan and blower components. This program will let you know about the various fan parts in which there are multiple components. Apart from this, you will also be given a brief description about the various general arrangement of the component in centrifugal, axial, tube axial and vane axial fans. This module will enable you to give a briefing about fan and blower components, explain about inlet funnel casing, inspection door, impeller and dampers, bearing block, bearing seals, belts and pulleys and belt guard. Tell about the general arrangement of direct drive centrifugal fan, belt driven centrifugal fan, direct tube axial fan, belt driven tube axial fan, direct drive vane axial fan, belt driven vane axial fan, click on each to know more. The inlet funnel is a component for directing air into the fan housing. Its function is to link the fan to pipes. The inlet cone dimensions and shapes depend on the type and function of the industrial fan. The house plays an important role. It is something that protects the impeller from damage and dust particles. The housing is the structure that contains the impeller. The air or the fluid to be handled passes through the housing and it moves towards the ventilation system. The air kinetic energy is converted into pressure energy while the air stream strikes the housing. The performance of the fan depends on the design of the impeller and on the shape of the housing too. Made of steel plates of heavy-duty applications. Sheet steel or galvanized steels for light-duty applications. The fan housing is generally installation and easier impeller removal. Hence, depending upon the number of splits in fan housing, it can be classified as 1. Horizontal split housing, 2. Pi split housing, 3. Three-way split housing. Hope you understood the types of fan housing used. Now let us move on further and learn about the inspection door. Have you ever heard about inspection door? It is a small door placed on the case, very useful for visual inspections or to perform ordinary maintenance. The inspection door can be of different types depending upon construction, namely 1. Bolted access door, 2. Raised access door, 3. Quick open access door. Bearing block for support. It houses the bearing in industrial fan. The bearing block is stressed by forces coming from direct motor drive or belt drive. The bearing block can be of two types. 1. Solid bearing block. 2. Split bearing block. 1. Solid bearing block. If the bearing block is made in one single piece, then it is known as solid bearing block. Split bearing block. If the bearing block is split along the horizontal, thereby dividing the bearing block into upper and lower halves, then it is known as split bearing block. The impeller is the real heart of the industrial fan. The main function of impeller is to transfer the power from the prime mover and accelerate the fluid away from the center of rotation. It is a rotating component on which are placed the blades that can be backward, forward or straight blades depending on their use. Material is generally cast iron, mild steel or cast steel. Dampers are generally used to cause aerodynamic resistance in a system, which allows the operator to control the amount of air entering into the system. Some dampers are designed to direct airflow through the fan, offering greater efficiency and control. Dampers can be broadly classified on the basis of operating mechanism, direction of blades, position of dampers. Click on each to know more. Depending on the basis of operating mechanism, dampers can be classified as 1. Gravity damper, 2. Manual operated damper, 3. Motorized damper. Gravity damper. Gravity dampers are designed to open automatically when the fan is energized and to close by gravity when power is turned off. These parallel blade and pivoted dampers provide a mechanism which prevents the air from outside entering into the system and also serving to exclude outside elements such as rain and snow. Manual operated damper. Dampers are operated manually using a lever provided at the end of the damper. Motorized damper. Motorized dampers are usually furnished with an actuator that powers the blades open rather than relying on the velocity pressure of the airflow. This is of particular importance in low flow conditions that might otherwise only partially open the automatic damper blades, creating blade flutter and potentially making more noise. No more. Classification will be done depending on the direction of blades. So, the dampers can be classified as 1. Parallel blade outlet damper. 2. Opposed blade outlet damper. Parallel blade outlet damper. Parallel blade dampers are designed in a way so the blades move in the same parallel direction when opened. It is recommended for applications where the fan flow needs to be fully opened up to 75% open. Opposed blade outlet dampers. When the tip of the blades of the damper are placed opposite to each other, then it is known as opposed blade damper. Opposed blade dampers are recommended for systems where fan flow needs to be regulated over the entire range, fully open to fully closed conditions. It can be classified into two types. 1. Inlet damper. 2. Outlet damper. Inlet dampers. When the dampers are placed at the entry side of the fan from where the suction takes place in the fan, it is known as inlet dampers. Outlet dampers. When the dampers are placed at the exit side of the fan from where the discharge of air takes place in the fan, it is known as outlet dampers. We heard this number of times. As the name suggests, the bearings in a fan and blower are meant to bear loads as well as reduce friction between the rotating and stationary element. Bearing also provide alignment to shaft and prevent deflection of shaft. The bearings generally used in fans are: 1. Deep groove ball bearing. 2. Spherical roller bearing. 3. Sliding contact bearing. 4. Split needle roller bearing. Bearing block for support. It houses the bearing in industrial fan. The bearing block is stressed by forces coming from direct motor drive or belt drive. The bearing block can be of two types. 1. Solid bearing block. 2. Split bearing block. 1. Solid bearing block. If the bearing block is made in one single piece, then it is known as solid bearing block. Split bearing block. If the bearing block is split along the horizontal, thereby dividing the bearing block into upper and lower halves, then it is known as split bearing block. Seals can prevent lubricants from escaping and stop dust, water and other harmful substances such as metal particles from getting into the bearing. So, from this line we can understand that bearing seals prevent foreign material from entering into the bearing. There can be different types of bearing seals, namely: 1. Labyrinth seals. 2. Lip seals. Labyrinth seals: 1. Used for higher speed applications. 2. Used on spherical roller bearings, solid and split pillow block. Lip seals: 1. Used for low to moderate shaft surface speeds. 2. Used on ball bearings. Belts and pulleys. They are provided within the transmission of the indirect driven fans. Choice depends on the desired performance of the fan, required RPM. The drive belt from external agents. Avoid accidental contacts with the moving belt, especially if the belt breaks.
Rahul, have you completed the module on fan blower?
Yes, Neha.
Okay, can you do me a favor? There is this boy named Pavan. He wanted to know about the arrangement of the components. Can you join him with the class?
Definitely.
Thank you, Rahul.
As we have already seen the various components and its functions, let us check out the arrangement of the components in different fans. So, Pavan, can you tell me the parts of a direct drive centrifugal fan? Yes, sir. It consists of flanged inlet, inlet collar, inlet funnel, impeller, housing, bearing, shaft, coupling, motor, access hole for mounting bowls, pedestal and outlet flange. Very good, Pavan. Moving forward, let us see the arrangement of components in belt-driven centrifugal fan. It consists of flanged inlet, inlet collar, inlet funnel, impeller, housing, bearing, shaft, sheave pulley, belt, motor, motor slide base, access hole for mounting bowls, pedestal and outlet flange. Hope now you have understood that these components play an important role in the arrangement of the fans. As we have completed few, let us check some more arrangements so we will learn about direct tube axial fan. The arrangement consists of housing, inspection door, motor, shaft, motor support base and propeller or impeller. The arrangement of belt-driven tube axial fan is somewhat similar to the previously learned direct tube axial fan. So, the belt-driven tube axial fan consists of housing, inspection door, motor, shaft, motor support base, belt, belt tube, sheave or pulley, bearing housing, and propeller or impeller. Now, moving forward towards direct drive vane axial fan, it is arranged with a housing, motor, shaft, motor support base, propeller or impeller, and guide vanes. Arrangement in this module is belt-driven vane axial fan, which consists of many components like housing, inspection door, motor, shaft, motor base, guide vanes, belt, belt tube, sheave or pulley, bearing housing, and propeller or impeller. Now that you have completed the module, don't you think that it's necessary for you to check your knowledge by answering these questions? So, let's get ahead and take a small test on this module.